I have some breaking news for you guys. Are you ready? The Major League Baseball Hall of Fame is racist. Oh, yes, 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 yes. Here we have another sports institution deeply rooted in America, considered to be racist by another woker. Another woker painting an American pastime with their racist brush. Kimmy Yam is a journalist for NBC Asian America. I'll be honest with you. I had never heard of Kimmy Yam until her story came across my news feed while I was at lunch a couple of hours ago. I don't know anything about her. Her Twitter handle is Kimmy the Pooh. So off the jump, I already can't take her seriously. Her credibility level is already low with me. She is receiving some pushback for an article she posted to NBC News this morning. The article's titled, "Why There Isn't a Single Asian Player in the Baseball Hall of Fame." It's about a 10-minute read, and I repeat, I do not encourage you to check it out. Do not waste your time. It's 10 minutes of your life you'll never get back. That's why you guys have me. I sacrifice my 10 minutes so you don't have to. We're about to destroy Kimmy Yam's theory as to why there's not an Asian player in the Baseball Hall of Fame. Her theory was not hard to destroy. All it took me was a few minutes of critical thinking and research to disprove her ridiculous notion. Kimmy Yam makes the insinuation that there's not an Asian player in the Baseball Hall of Fame because of Major League Baseball's historical racist roots. She goes all the way back to 1869 and says Major League Baseball was founded as a segregated league and remained that way for several decades. The Baseball Hall of Fame was founded in 1939. Because of that, the rules were designed out of reality of racial exclusion. You know, these damn wokers, they reach all the time. But this right here is the definition of reaching. I'm not going to sit here and deny the racial history in baseball, but that has absolutely nothing to do with inclusion into the Hall of Fame in 2021. It's the equivalent of saying that the South was heavily racist and segregated in the 1960s, so an African American has no chance of making it in Atlanta in 2021. What the hell does the founding of the Hall of Fame in 1939 have anything to do with who gets included in 2021? You know how baseball players get inducted into the Hall of Fame? They are voted in by sports writers. What are most sports writers? They're woke. This entire premise, this entire article by Kimmy Yam was nothing but a ploy for her to get attention to herself. And I guess it worked because I'm sitting here talking about it. She quotes some dumbass professor in this article, Christina Chin. Christina Chin is an associate professor of sociology at Cal State Fullerton, which means two things. One, most likely she's pro-choice, except when it comes to the COVID vaccine. And two, she knows nothing about sports. How can I say she knows nothing about sports? Check out this quote. "The Hall of Fame is definitely symbolic of what we think of and value as Americans and who belongs in this country." That one sentence proves that neither of these two women know anything about sports. The Hall of Fame has nothing to do with who belongs in America. The Hall of Fame, whether it's the NBA, Major League Baseball, the NFL, the Hall of Fame represents the elite of the elite, the best of the best. It doesn't matter what race you are. The Hall of Fame is not symbolic of who is accepted in America. It's symbolic of who was the greatest players of any particular generation. It's as simple as that. It has nothing to do with race. I'm about to explain to you why there's not an Asian player in the Baseball Hall of Fame. Get out your pens and paper. Get ready to take notes. Welcome back to Busting Through Wokeism 101. I'm your professor, KC. In the 150-year history of professional baseball in America, notice I did not say Major League Baseball. I said professional baseball. This includes the Negro Leagues. It includes all professional baseball in America since the mid 1800s. In that time, there have been over 19,000 professional baseball players in America. You know how many are in the Hall of Fame? 235. 235 out of over 19,000. 1%. 1% of players make the Hall of Fame. Okay, now let's go back in history and check demographics in baseball. I pulled the demographics for Major League Baseball since 1947. From 1947 to 1991, you know what the percentage was of Asian players in Major League Baseball? 0%. There was a couple of years in the 1960s where they made up 0.1%, but basically for 34 years, there were no Asian players in baseball. So it's not hard to figure out why they didn't make the Hall of Fame during that time. From 1991 to 1995, Asian players made up 0.1%, 96 to 98, 0.5%. Throughout the 2000s, Asian players were between 1 and 2%. And in 2016, they made up 2.1%. Do you see where I'm going here? This is not a racial issue. This is a numbers issue. In the history of baseball, only 1% of players have made the Hall of Fame. Throughout the history of baseball, Asian players aren't anywhere close to making up 1% of the demographic. The reason there aren't any Asian players in the Hall of Fame is not because baseball's racist. It's because historically, they haven't had any Asian players to choose from. Is that so hard to understand? Kimmy Yam, this journalist, all she had to do was a little bit of research, just a few minutes of due diligence, and she could have figured this out for herself. But like I say on here all the time, wokers never let facts get in the way of furthering the agenda. Instead, they want Major League Baseball to change the requirements to get into the Hall of Fame. In order to qualify, you had to spend 10 years in the major leagues. Now, according to the woke, this is racist. It's unfair. Asian players spend a portion of their career playing in Japan before coming to America. This makes it more difficult for them to make the Hall of Fame. I'm sorry, but that sounds like a you problem. Why should baseball have to change their rules to accommodate 2% of their players? If an Asian player wants to be considered for the Hall of Fame, play 10 years in the major leagues. It's that simple. Ichiro Suzuki didn't have an issue figuring that out. This NBC article we're talking about, they make the case for Hideo Nomo to be in the Hall of Fame because he paved the way for other Asian players. He deserves to get in. That does not get you into the Hall of Fame. Being elite of the elite does, and Hideo Nomo was not elite. Kimmy Yam also references comments from Stephen A. Smith from back in July about Shohei Ohtani. We've covered him here on the channel. Major League Baseball, they like Shohei Ohtani for global branding, but they don't want him as the face of baseball in America because he can't speak English. Again, I don't know why this is so hard to comprehend. This is nothing against Shohei Ohtani, and to his credit, he does not take this personally. But it's hard to endorse products in America when you don't speak the language. When Chris Paul is all over TV commercials during the NBA season, promoting this or that, whatever the hell he's promoting, does he just stand there silent on these commercials? No. He's talking, he's promoting, endorsing. You can't do that with Ohtani because no one in America would understand what the hell he's talking about. What are they going to do? Include a translator in the commercials? Put closed captioning on your screen? Anyway, this entire notion that the Baseball Hall of Fame is racist because there's not an Asian player inducted is ridiculous. It's ridiculous. There is not an Asian player in the Hall of Fame due to lack of choice, not because of race. All right, you guys let me know what you think. Give me your thoughts on Kimmy Yam and her assertion that the Baseball Hall of Fame is racist because Asian players have not been inducted yet. Sound off in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. Click the notification bell to receive all notifications from the channel. Best way to contact me is by email at btlkc84@gmail.com, KC_BTL84 on Twitter. I'll see you guys later.